I feel
Um,
like coding affects how I think though. Like
oh
I
yeah,
feel like yeah, you feel that
yes,
where it's like certain problems like I'll think about in terms of like, these systems or subroutines that you can build and execute
yeah.
and
It helps you think efficiently and break problems down that might be overwhelming into subtasks. I absolutely think that helps me.
so which of the topics do you want to jump into first?
Um, I guess we could start with probably the buzzword of the day, AI, if that's something you'd like to talk about.
Definitely.
Cool, cool. So
AI, yeah, yeah, you go.
I was curious. I actually had a couple questions for you. Um, you have used AI to help your code that you work on, correct?
Definitely, yeah.
So one thing I feel that gets talked about a lot is how it's replacing jobs out there. And I personally haven't seen it help me so much that I feel it could even replace any job. So I was curious just if you want to, I just want to start right into it, right in the meat and potatoes um, of how do you feel it's a tool to assist rather than a replacement tool? Or is there something that I'm missing that companies are using that maybe you're aware of um, that are replacing jobs with AI?
I don't know anything about the statistics. All I know about is sort of what I can infer from my experience,
Right.
and
I don't have statistics as well.
it it seems like it wouldn't replace jobs because any it's basically just like hiring people because people still have to use it. It can't do it itself. So it's just like hiring people who are way better at doing what they do. Um,
But
and
do you think that it caps out at a certain point? Because that's what I feel when I use it. Like it doesn't understand an architecture problem in a way a human can when there's an issue. So I'll give you the specific example that's burning in my head, and that would be when I'm looking at code for Unreal Engine, because I do the Unreal Engine game development type stuff. The main thing for me is I might ask it, what's a better option? Do I put the character in this kind of load setup, or do I load this first? And it can only really answer off of what it sees in the code that exists in Unreal Engine examples that are put there by humans. You know what I mean? Um, but in this specific case I had, I was asking for advice on how to properly change like a character's team from a project that it knows the code of, a Lyra project, just to be specific. And what ended up happening was it would take me down rabbit holes pretty easily. And while it was helpful when maybe I needed a specific way to interact with the computer, like how do I take an array and serialize it, it could help very well with that. But when I needed it to plan or actually code with what's there, I noticed there was some issues. It can only really do like snippets or like what's the way to explain it? Snippets or static compartmentalized pieces. I haven't pushed its limits yet myself, but the main thing I was seeing is I found like two lines of code that fixed what it was the opposite of what it was trying to have me do, which was like, edit this, create that, create this. And I'm like, wait, if I just put two lines of code here, I'm done. That's it. So have you had any experience like that with, because I think you're building your own engine, if I remember correctly.
Mhm.
And you're doing physics, which is pretty cool and probably pretty tough. Do you find that it's generating more or guiding more? I guess is a better way to phrase it.
Uh, yeah, I mean, as far as guidance goes, I generally want to know what it's guiding, like if it wants to do something, I want to understand what it's trying to do. Um, so like with a physics engine, this is a great example because you're talking about the architecture, like the bigger scale of it.
Yeah,
A physics engine's like even a full rigid body physics engine, you know what a rigid body is, where you have objects collide. It's basically just hard bodies that collide and bounce
yeah,
off each other.
mhm,
Um, the entire system is thousands of lines of code. And so it's like I'll start up a chat and it's a weird thing because I'll actually burn through chats because like after a while they start to die. They start to glitch up because it's like too big, so I have to like go through a new one. Um, but like it can really like do a good job of building the engine, but there is this extent to which like with something as complicated as a full on like and this is a DirectX GPU physics engine, so it's like it's
yeah,
seriously advanced.
yep,
There's a thing where it's like there's no way it's going to get it first try at all or even close. It's gonna have bajillions of errors, bugs and stuff like this that I have to work out just with the complexity of it. And then so it'll give me just this like just a shredded scrap of like a physics engine. It doesn't even work really. And then I go in and I try to like piece it apart. I create like debugging systems. I have it help me create debugging systems to like see what's happening. I have two objects that collide and they just fire off into nowhere. I'm trying to figure out, is this a glitch with like the collision system or is it a glitch with the reaction system? I don't really know. And so then I have it debug and do stuff like that. And
right,
even with something as complicated as that, where like it can't even begin to do it in one take, I can work with it. I can have it I can tell it what my issue is exactly. I'm like, listen, you gave me this physics engine. It's doing all these errors. I don't even know where to start. And then it goes, okay, well, let's implement this kind of debugging system. And then I sort of like with something as complicated as this, like maybe I'll work on it for because it's DirectX and I don't know how to program in DirectX. I literally am. It's like somebody taking my hand and walking me through it. I literally will
that
work on
look
it
like
maybe for
minefields like all the way, right? Like little errors that you have to figure out or avoid or
yeah, and
okay.
also you fix one thing and it can explode another thing, just like any coding.
Yeah, yeah.
So you got to like really watch it because there's a tendency just to kind of like want to copy in the whole code, throw it in, but it's like it can mess things up. It can just like decide to do
So
crazy things. But
you so
mhm,
you take your brain and you apply it to what you're reading and then you take the code that makes sense. Is that what you're saying?
not necessarily, not necessarily.
Okay.
I will just take code, but then I'm always backing things up and stuff like that because like it's so fast that like it's faster just to back
Okay.
it up, take the code, and if I find out later on there's an error, then I'll just go to a backup or something like that, which I do sometimes.
What do you
Um,
use for revisioning control, by the way, just out of curiosity? Like do you have
like
like
like backups.
yeah, yeah. Like do you have
Yeah,
it like where each line of code is or each class is like you know exactly what you changed, what lines and stuff, or is it just a general backup?
it's probably the most
Okay.
low resolution, worst backup. I just literally copy the. I just
No, you're
exit. I
fine. You're
save it,
fine.
copy the file, save it out.
Whatever
Uh,
works, man.
do you have a
Uh,
system for doing like more
yeah,
complicated backups? Really?
yeah, because I plan on working with a team, and the only way you can really work with a team is like with revisioning software, especially
Wow.
in game dev. It's not as complex, it's not as fancy or crazy as you
Oh,
think. But GitHub has some built-in features that you can use. I actually, because of Unreal Engine and the larger assets, use something called Perforce, and it basically like it can lock files. So like if I'm working on something, you wouldn't be able to pull it out, but you have the whole project still to play with. And so then you would lock another file, and then we try not, if we ever need the same file for some reason, which
hmm.
the game design process is supposed to avoid as best as possible. Um, like you have different compartmentalized pieces. Um, it allows for that co-working to happen. Now, obviously, if it works for you, what you're doing, I'm not. I'm just giving you a what I know professionals do. because one thing you can do is you can see how many times you touched the same file and what changes you made along the way, and you can comment it. So it's like, uh, then when you start out, usually it's like, please work, please work, please work, like 30 times. Then eventually you get it to work like once, and then you can be like, okay, this revision is this feature I added, which is like physics or
Hmm.
DirectX support or whatever. That's what I recommend for all developers that are trying to build a project that they want to continue working on. Because at one point you do want to see you want to go back and see, wait, did I have a file that worked better, or even lines of code in a file that worked better? And that revisioning is pretty key to being able to just jump right back to the line of code that you made the change to and say, yeah, it was this exact line right here. Um,
I definitely want that. Now, I am
yeah,
also maybe a bit superstitious about it because it's like, well, your save file is really, really important because if you mess that up,
yes.
then, you lose days of work. So
So
I have a
correct.
feeling to which I just
I've
kind of
done
plug
that,
along.
and I
Yeah.
will give you some caution that's going to be the follow up. And glad you said something. Is don't do it on your main project. If you've been working on something for months, weeks, years, whatever, you want to start it on something new and kind of learn it and feel comfortable with it before you put it on any kind of main project. And also try it like adding it midway to a project as well. And back it up obviously before you do anything like that. Because it's gonna go into your files and it's gonna you might want to start over after messing it up a few times. Because I locked my files once and I didn't know how to unlock it. I mean, I'm sure if I spent the time, I probably would have learned. But you don't want to be in a position where you can't continue progress because it doesn't feel as good. And also is just, especially in like solo or small teams, being able to progress every day is very important because
What are
that's
you
how you
are
get
you
to
working on are you working on a project right now?
it's mostly learning mechanics again. The main thing I'm doing is the game development process. It's the pipelines. It's working with a base game called Lyra, which is basically like a perfect example of like the bare minimum you would need to be like considered seriously releasing a game, in my opinion. Now people can just slap what's called blueprint together, make a cheap little game, and maybe it makes money. Great, but if you follow these more standardized kind of vetted process that Lyra kind of forces you into, you get a much better product at the end of it, and it's more up to snuff with what Unreal Engine should and can realistically release. Um, so it's for me, the project is learning first, but I do shape it in the direction of yes, I want to release a game eventually. So hopefully, the things I do all lead to like a role playing game, like in a fantasy setting. That's what I'd really like to. I think it's really lacking in that genre, but it's not an easy task. What I just said, you might know that, but
Hmm. Network coding, especially. Yeah, that is
mm-hmm,
really, really advanced.
it can
What's
be.
your favorite part of computer programming?
Ooh, I haven't done it yet, but I'm sure my favorite part will be when somebody else enjoys the product I make. That's
Hmm.
going to be really cool. I think that's going to be the best feeling in the world. But for now, it's being able to create something that is unique to me. Nobody's made exactly what I made. And there might be like some games that's like, it's like when I've just done a couple features, which I can even send you video at. I have a couple videos if you want to ever put it on the screen or something. I don't know. It's up to
Sure,
you.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I have like a progression. It's like first it's like a little mannequin looking guy, and it starts off he's holding a pistol, I think even, and then I get him holding a sword, and then I get it looking like an elf, which is pretty easy. Like it's all like easy to do within the Lyra project once you understand what they're trying to do and how to interface with it. But the whole like there's a whole game where it's like you just get all the code to a run around team deathmatch kind of game, and I'm trying to turn that into a role playing with the background, the back end type of systems they have in place.
Very
But
cool. Now,
sorry,
this
I guess
is
to answer the
yeah.
question, my favorite part would have been um, again the unique experience that I get that no one else gets.
Now, because I am kind of just rapid firing through this because you said you wanted to do it just in 1 hour, essentially,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. If I'm
So
talking too much, if I'm yapping too much, let me know.
no, 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 it's good. I just, as opposed to staying on single points, I'm like doing lots of non sequiturs because I had, so this is something I wanted to, was really curious to get your thoughts about. But programming in relation to Peterson Academy. So
Oh
I
yeah.
was thinking about like different projects that would actually be like really beneficial. So like imagine if there was a website you go to where you put in whatever course you're doing, and then as the lecture is going on, like you just tell it, where you are at the lecture. As the lecture is going along, it has very, very dynamic, interactive models. So, for example, if you're doing a history course, you see all the people where they're going on a map. Essentially, if you're doing, a philosophy course, maybe abstract concepts are being sort of mapped out in some kind of abstract space. Um, there's
Well,
many
I'll be
different.
honest. You you just talking about that gave me an idea.
What's the idea?
Open source projects would be the perfect way to have a community learn code together, right?
Definitely.
What if we, if you have the time, I don't know if even I'll have the time to, or even knowledge, and maybe, but just a thought. What if we started something that was like an open source website, just a basic website, or something along the line, something that like anybody can run or host anywhere, but is useful to people. I haven't. It just came to me as you were talking, and I was like, wouldn't that be something? Like if we as a community could find a bunch of coders and work together to create a safe, secure website of some kind, or maybe not a website because that might involve hosting. That involves like hosting stuff, maybe.
Yeah,
But
but like I think that'd be reasonable because you can just pay a little bit and you can host it, a
yeah, I'm
month.
just worried about the security part. That's that I'm a little. Uh, I get a little nervous with that stuff because I know that I've seen so many horror stories from experts in the field. Um, but I'm sure there's a way to do it safely. I would want somebody that has like a better background in it to be a part of it. If
Hmm.
we do put it like on something officially like Peterson Academy, but just a thought,
So
something to
yeah, no,
okay.
absolutely. And were you thinking along the same lines as I was saying? Like, so like another example would be for the neuroscience course, you'd have a model of the brain. Like, were you thinking of that kind of thing? Like, or were you thinking about an open source project which is sort of unrelated to the education on the academy?
Well, I think that letting the people choose what they want to work on is the better option. Like, kind of crowdsource the interest. So if nobody wants to make a model of the brain like website to help us learn, maybe then we just go with whatever they're interested in. But it would be cool to have something that was like learning tools. Like for example, the music theory one. Maybe there's like we come up with like a graphic music theory website or
Right.
um, just little applets, small applets that maybe at one point the website itself might even host if it's capable. I don't know
Hmm.
what kind of bandwidth it would take to run like a fake piano, you know, but
Hmm.
excuse me. Um, it, yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a cool idea, like having like little applets that either help us learn, help you understand math, maybe visualize math. I mean, they already
Hmm.
exist, but it'd be cool to have like maybe a couple custom made ones that are specific to the course.
Hmm. That's, I think, something definitely I might be interested in. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to
Well,
talk
we'll see,
offline.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
it could be
I could
time
see it working
consuming
out.
too.
Could be. It really depends on like, is it actually good enough? I could see it being good
Mm.
enough, but it would have to be very polished. Like it would have to be, I think it would actually have to provide value in a sense that somebody's taking a course, they go to this app or website, and then they can really just improve their learning experience by bringing up these exact perfect visuals or interactive models that directly represent, and I think it could be done pretty
Well,
well.
it wouldn't have to be polished to be worked on. So this,
No.
I'm saying it's kind of like it's a win-win. Is that people will be able to learn together. It'd be a community project, um, in a way where there's many projects could even be going on. And you know how I am, like when it comes with like our chess club, it's like I don't want to limit anybody. If everybody wants to make their own brain app, then may the best brain app be the one that people use. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think that it would be nice to have competition in some ways in that regard as well. But even all of it being open source, it'd be like, yeah, we'd all be kind of like working on like little applets together. I think that would be pretty cool. Um, yeah, that's something we should talk offline about. 'Cause I just think
Definitely.
that'd be cool idea to run with.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but that takes us to, I guess, the next point, which would be the game itself. Or did you have other points you wanted to bring up?
No, jump right into it.
So one thing that I've been learning in my journey of, I would say, 5 years now of just trying different things and learning and listening to experts in the field, whether it's on YouTube or, you know, in Discords, wherever I can find the information, really, in person sometimes from, programmers I know. The main driving force that I worry about with, and I'm going to tie AI in actually with this, is I think, like you said, it's very tempting with AI to just slap the code in and not think about it. And I worry that it might inhibit people to use AI because, or even stop people from wanting to learn how to code because they think AI can solve the problems completely.
Hmm.
But my concern is kind of unfounded or unbased on, it's just based on the feeling. But I've definitely heard a couple people in my life go, "Oh, the AI will take over. I'm not going to learn how to code." And just like I look at them and I'm like, "Well, you still need to understand how the code works. You don't need to necessarily type every letter, and that still is an important skill to like be able to do that." But I don't know. It's one of those things that I don't know if you ever follow anybody like the Primegian or how do you say his name. He's really popular on YouTube. He worked for I think Netflix. I don't know his whole backstory, but he's like a vlogger, I guess you could say, like a dev vlogger kind of guy. And he always has like up to date news or talks about like this company bought that company and what that could mean for coding and AI. And one of the things he said that I thought was kind of interesting is like people are always so worried about just getting the goal and getting it out there, which is not this, I do want to clarify, it's not an AI specific problem. Um, but in the project's format is that the passion of people coding seems to have been lost in a lot of ways. I'm not saying it's gone. I just mean kind of the vibe, the feeling. Again, it's unfounded in data from what I'm saying. But when I do talk to a lot of people, it's like, oh, just get the thing done, get it shipped, and good to go. There's that like little extra passion or touch that I feel hopefully doesn't diminish or get lowered in any way moving forward. Um, AI and things like that. That was a little bit tangential, but I was curious what
Yeah.
your thoughts are in like, have you have you interacted with other programmers in any way, or mostly just doing the solo stuff?
Um, not not as much as you know. I would say
Okay,
like I know programmers, I know of them, but like
I get
lots
you.
of lots of people, my friends or relatives
You should get
actually
them on here.
are programmers. Say what?
You should get them on here so that they can talk. I'd love to hear other programmers talk about stuff.
One of my cousins built, kind of a chess engine, which is really cool. You and me both like
Nice.
chess and programming. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. He told me this is a really interesting concept. He told me that if you were going to program your chess engine with one, just one qualitative evaluation thing. So like if you're, it was supposed to evaluate the position because they can think far into the future. But
Right.
if you were going to give it some positional evaluation, the strongest positional evaluation, the single one, because you could give it like, how far your pieces are forward, how safe your king is, all these things. The single most powerful one is giving your pieces the most options. So
Mm,
future positions where you have the most options are more correlated with winning, which I think is like an
okay.
abstract piece of wisdom, which is like relevant to like the way I play chess and even life. Like it's
That
interesting.
actually is that is an interesting piece because I don't think like that when I play chess, and I might have to start applying that.
Right.
What gives me the more options? And I think you said that to me before, but you've also taught me a lot of other things, so which I'm thankful for. Um, but yeah, that is a good thought. And I guess when we're talking about like the AI, the game dev, those types of conversations, I do think having more options is always a good thing because you don't want to be stuck with two options. You know, Coke or Pepsi. Take your pick. Like it'd be nice
Hmm.
to have, and we do have in our free market things like that. But like when it comes down to like coding systems or like internet providers, things like this, it's like sometimes there isn't an option just based on like physicality, but like not everybody can afford a giant data center and train AI for hundreds and thousands of hours. You know what I mean? So having a whole system that's like available for purchase for a small monthly fee sometimes I think is worth it. Um, which takes me to uh, a question I had for you. You use ChatGPT, right?
I'm switching more to Grok actually, but yeah,
Okay,
I use ChatGPT though.
interesting. Because I've only used Grok for coding specifically because when ChatGPT first launched, and this was before Grok was even a thing, when ChatGPT first launched, it didn't even know what Lyra was. Like it only scanned the internet up to a
Mm,
certain period.
right.
So I mean, I had no AI help when I started, and it's kind of interesting looking at it now. It's like even with AI help, it's like it's nice, it saves time, but I just don't see it for me
Oh,
generating.
like that could be the thing too, is that because you're in a specific niche, there
Mhm,
may not be a lot of AI because it's really about training
could be.
data. Because when I get into DirectX, like it's good, but it's not like normal programming because they just have not
Yeah,
as much training data.
yeah,
So and there's some programming languages which are just not even represented. So like there's some programming language which used to be easier. For example, GML used to be like for amateurs, you could just easily do game maker language. It's super easy. But now
okay,
when I tried it, there was the large
yeah.
language model barely even knew how to do it. So it's like, well, it's actually no longer easier to do that. Now, but
Hmm.
it is quite interesting that your experience with LLMs, relation to programming, isn't that it's easy. So it might be that they just don't know the system.
Right, and I do think that's fair. I haven't tried ChatGPT versus Grok versus like it. I have a friend of mine that I'm gonna start. Maybe we could do another talk in the future. Um, but I would like to kind of more test, more actually look at what is the like what is like ask it the same question, kind of maybe a little bit, not super in depth, but just from a couple different perspectives and experiences, what we notice is like some limiting factors of one versus
Hmm.
the other, or even if none at all. Like, because I wonder too sometimes, like, is it just all in the question? If you ask the right questions, will you get the better answers, no matter what you use at this point, as long as it has at least one scan of the Lyra or the whatever
Hmm.
project you code from. Um, but yeah, um,
I wonder,
so
you're talking about doing, I'll just interject this really quickly. You're talking about
yeah,
doing calls to actually be working on stuff. I wonder if there's a niche on Peterson Academy that would be interested in computer coding and stuff, because there's no courses on it right now, but I feel like maybe in the future there will be courses.
I would think so. I would hope so. I mean, I don't know how it's tough because coding is such a hands-on type of learning that everybody's going to learn differently with that. Sort of like math, but math's a little bit easier to prove on paper. Like, follow the algebra and get an answer, right? Coding's a little more abstract because you're taking the application of something and putting it into a program that then has to evaluate. So I wonder if that's the catch and why they haven't done it yet. Um, but yeah, I mean, if they had a coding course, I'd probably take it right away. I do plan on taking the math courses when I need them. I think those would be pretty good.
My feeling is that they're just trying to build up to a certain level, but they can't do everything because there's,
Right.
when you start talking about coding, now you start bringing in a whole different field of different engineering things. I think
Yeah.
coding is exceptional because anybody can do it versus like if it's actual engineering or architecture, then you don't have a practical application of it. But my feeling is that so even with their math courses, I was studying some like neuroscience, and I noticed that at the highest levels of like various fields, and neuroscience is an example, but many fields, at the highest levels, all the fields kind of merge. So like in neuroscience, it was math because they were like calculating how how long it would take for a neutron to go a distance, and then it was biology because it was at that level, and then biology when you go into biology, it's actually physics, and then of
Right.
course it's
That makes
neuroscience.
sense.
So it was like four things at the same time. So like
Yeah.
when they give a course on math, it's like that makes sense because it's at the higher levels, it's all the stuff kind of at the same time.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That does make sense. Coding is definitely more like you're doing coding. Like, I mean, it
Yeah.
might involve a lot of stuff depending on the type of app you're developing. But yeah, it could go anywhere. I mean, it's just literally it's like their. I haven't taken it yet, but I bet you it's similar to their logic course almost,
Hmm.
if I had to guess.
I feel
Um,
like coding affects how I think though. Like
oh
I
yeah,
feel like, yeah, you feel that
yes,
where it's like certain problems like I'll think about in terms of like, these systems or subroutines that you can build and execute
yeah.
and
It helps you think efficiently and break problems down that might be overwhelming into subtasks. I absolutely think that helps me. My troubleshooting skills only got better the more I learned code for like my IT job and stuff.
yeah, makes sense. I feel like I derailed you from something though you were gonna say.
Well, it's okay. I was trying to find a good segue. I think what I just wanted to say, just kind of like, all right, well, did you have anything else? Like dying questions, burning questions? Okay. I think to kind of like leave this off, I wanted to just bring this up, and for people who are watching, is that even people who you see doing great things, doing amazing things, health and mental health are really important. Um, and I can tell you that even myself, uh, I've been working on this new project. I've been having a great time, learning a lot. I myself had to, you know, get the help that I needed for. mental health that I needed to make progress. And I just wanted to kind of share with anybody that does watch this all the way to the end that if there's anybody in your life or anybody that's like resisting medicine, definitely want to be an advocate for listening to doctors because I kind of grew up in an era where it was like, oh, don't take medicine, don't you don't need to take Advil for every little thing. You don't need to take if you get really sick, you take steroids. The little packets you got to take like 10 the first day, 9 the next day, kind of thing. You know, and I would always like kind of grew up in this time where it was like, yeah, you can take that if you really need it, but only if you really need it. And I was always, and that kind of put it in my head. Oh, well, so then I want to see to the very nth degree. Do I need something? Um, and it kind of pushed me back. And it took me a long time to realize that the doctors were trying to help. And I ended up on this medicine that just changed my whole perspective on everything. Because and I'm gonna segue or divert for a second. I don't know if you have you ever watched A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
I had the fear when I was younger that I would be in that situation, and I was. So I was on Haldol, and I am schizophrenic. So that whole like paranoia and fear really stopped me from getting the help that I needed. And I hope that maybe this reaches somebody. Just no matter how normal or how much somebody's like progressing or looking like they're doing great, everybody needs help at one point, and the doctors are there to help. I just wish somebody had said something like that when I was younger. Um, Not that people. I mean, maybe somebody did, and I didn't listen. I'm a little stubborn, so but just kind of want to do like a little mental health awareness.
Yeah. So that's good though that
Mhm.
you're on this medication, you're uh
Clear as a bell. I can think clearly. Just I'll even give a little I'll even give a little more specific, just because I think it's important. Is I was on one medicine for the schizophrenia, and it had a side effect of general anxiety. But I'm not really an anxious person, so I never really understood what anxiety meant. And so I was taking this pill, getting this kind of like brain fog, and they gave me an anti-anxiety, and I feel like I'm thinking before, back to normal, so to speak. And it's been extremely eye-opening because I had been extremely resistant to even taking any. Now I still disagreed with her on dosage and amount, but again, being stubborn, and I'm glad I did because uh, taking the lesser amount for me was better. So still use your noggin. I just I wanted to share it because I don't think enough people publicly admit that um, hey, there there are people out there that are maybe refusing help that should be getting help, and if it's bad enough, it can spin out of control. So I just wanted to put that out there.
definitely. And yeah, some sort of input in the opposite direction can have quite a dramatic effect because it sometimes it's the thing people focus on. We were taking big ideas in psychology, and negative things can be a massive focus. And so
Mm.
um when somebody hears that it's negative, and then that sort of sticks with you because you're like, well, I do the it's scary if you're going to do something there's going to possibly have a negative effect, but yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm always so open about it. Like I post on the website on the Peterson Academy. I mean, I'm very open about my diagnosis and some of the medicine I take for that reason because the negative connotation that people get when they hear mental issues, it's like they think of the worst because it can mean a lot, right? But when and you know me, we've talked a lot, and it's like you couldn't tell unless I told you
Oh, no
because
way.
of the
Yeah.
because of the medications and stuff I take and understanding that hey sometimes my brain's not exactly honest with me on what's going on. Now with the medication, obviously, it, I'm lucky and it doesn't truly affect me in like a negative way, meaning like it kind of solves the problem, so to speak. But that might not happen forever. So that's why, like I said, I'm putting this out there even for me, just to admit, like I was so scared to get on this anti-anxiety because I'm like I hear so many horror stories. I knew friends that would get on certain stuff and they couldn't get off of it, and it's like, well, at one point I was running out of options and I wasn't able to focus on things, and I couldn't even as embarrassing as it is, like I couldn't even walk, force myself to like go on walks. And that anxiety, I didn't realize that pressure, that constant like fog was stopping me. Because as soon as I switched that medicine, well, not switched, but added to it, um, completely helped. And I just hope that this reaches somebody that maybe they're going through a tough time and they're not sure why, and they've tried thousands of things because I know I have, and they're just fighting that last ditch effort to try and go in, and hopefully maybe they get the help they need.
Well, I'm very, very glad to hear that you have found sort of a solution.
Yeah,
Um,
me too.
because because I really like talking with you, and
Thank you.
I think we might, I'm hoping in the future we do some kind of project. This one we just kind of thought about now. This would
Yeah,
be very interesting. And so, yeah,
sounds good.
hearing your yeah, in good shape is really good.
Thank you, sir.
Um, what do you think? Do you think we should wrap it up now for
Yeah, I
length?
think for consuming this type of stuff, yeah, I think 1 hour is good.
All right. Well, yeah, very much enjoyed the conversation. So
Yeah,
we
man,
should do it again.
absolutely. And if you want to continue any of this offline, like if you want to, I don't know if you have time today, but if you want to continue this offline about the project, I do have some thoughts about that.
I definitely would. Yeah. I
Okay.
will end the recording now.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah.